Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys checking out today's video. I know it's going to be a good one here today. We're going to be talking about the 5 most ridiculous justifications of using Livescope that I've ever heard. I get them all, guys. I get tons of them all the time, and I've written down 5 of them here that pathetic is probably an easy word to use for it, but I'm going to go through these top 5 and sort of break the myths down around them as far as people justifying using forward-facing sonar because of these points right here. Also, guys, just a quick big thank you to everybody out there, especially all of the anti-livescopers out there. Thank you very much for using my new Tackle Warehouse link that I've been putting in the descriptions. You guys know I'm using the Tackle Warehouse. I'm working with them on the affiliate program now. And if you guys are interested in purchasing any fishing tackle you got coming up, if you use and bookmark the link I put in the description here, that's a great way to support the channel. So much appreciated with that. Okay, guys, I'm going to read through here the top 5 most pathetic, ridiculous, lame excuses that I see people trying to justify forward-facing sonar and Livescope with. So we'll start to number 5, then we'll work up to number 1 here. Now the first one is, I hear a lot of times, it's like, Randy, it's no different than people using power poles, new trolling motors, or mega bass jerk baits, or $400 rods. Guys, it's not even in the same universe for that. When you're talking, and we're going to refer to this a lot, when you're talking about a piece of technology that has the ability to actually see fish swimming in live time right in front of you, where you can see the fish moving and reacting to different type of scenarios and lures, that is not even in the same universe as some type of a jerk bait or power pole that locks you down into one spot there. I don't even understand the correlation, how somebody can say that. That's like equating a musket with an atomic bomb or something like that. It's ridiculous. Number 4 is you got to adapt or get left behind. Again, there's a hint of arrogance with this particular point that people bring up a lot. I hear this a lot. It's like, Randy, you're a dinosaur. Your time's past you. You need to adapt or get left behind. You're going to get your butt kicked. All that type of stuff. That right there is basically saying you need to take a seat. You need to sit down and shut up if you don't like the way it is. Now, the only way that we can make positive change in anything in our society is that you have to recognize the problem. You have to bring a problem to light, and then you have to come up with a solution to that problem. And for somebody to say, just because you don't agree with forward-facing sonar and the dangers behind it and all the misnomers behind it, that you should just, if you don't adapt, you're going to get left behind. Like I said, there's a I don't know, it's just like it's a sense of arrogance combined with like the inability to see both sides of the situation. So that's one that I hear quite a bit too. Number 3 is you can't stop technology. Yeah, you can stop technology, because technology, as far as Livescope and forward-facing sonar in the fishing industry, it has nothing to do with advancing or stopping technology. It has everything to do with money. Guys, if these electronic companies were not shoveling large amounts of cash into Bassmaster and MLF and other tournament organizations, Livescope and forward-facing sonar would not be a thing. If somebody came out, and I've always said this, and I'll stand behind it, till the end, if I won the lottery, $500 million tomorrow, and I went to Bassmaster and MLF, and I say, guys, here's a contract right here for a 5-year contract. I'm going to pay you $5 million a year. Intuitive Angling is going to be a sponsor of Bassmaster, but the stipulation is that anglers will only be allowed to use a 2D sonar unit and a GPS. They're going to have to get rid of all their Livescope, all their forward-facing sonar. You know what would happen the next year? Every Elite Series Pro out there would just have one 2D sonar unit on their console, one up front. So yeah, you can't stop it when it doesn't have to think it's money. Number 2, it's, Randy, I hear this all the time, it's just another tool. It is not another tool whatsoever, guys. When you try to equate 2D sonar, down imaging or side imaging, to forward-facing sonar, again, you're not living in reality when you try to do that. Forward-facing sonar is a completely different. It's in a completely different category than its own, because 2D sonar, side imaging, down imaging like that, you do not have live images that are telegraphed immediately to the angler that can scan out in front of the boat or all different sides of the boat to actually see fish that you could not see before. There's a completely different, level of experience that you have with side imaging, down imaging, 2D sonar versus live imaging sonar. Now, I hear a lot of people say, well, where do you draw a line at? I was not happy. First of all, I don't think down imaging is much different than side imaging. So when people talk about down imaging, I don't really have a problem with that because it's basically showing you the same thing in just a little bit different detail. Side imaging, I was not real happy about it. I had one of the first side imaging units that came out years ago. I thought that was beginning to push the bounds a little bit, but when they came out with live imaging technology, that's where it crossed the precipice for me in terms of just saying enough is enough. So if it's just another tool, then why is every tournament getting one on it? Why is literally 99% of the tournaments out there getting one with forward-facing sonar if it's just another tool like, a different lure or a different type of a reel? It's not another tool. It's much more than another tool. And the number one, most ridiculous, pathetic, borderline stupid comment that I ever hear people talking about defending forward-facing sonar is just because you can see them doesn't mean you can make them bite. Guys, that is absolutely ridiculous right there. First of all, you're seeing fish that you would never see before without that technology. If it wasn't for forward-facing sonar, you wouldn't even know those fish are out there. So from that standpoint there, you're tapping into a segment of the population of fish that have been protected for generations and generations that are no longer protected. Those fish needed to be protected. They needed to have a spot out there where nobody jacked with them. Now they don't have that. They do not have that. They're a target now. And if it was the fact that just because you can see them doesn't mean you can catch them, then again, why is literally 99% of the events in this country not only won with forward-facing sonar, but dominated through the ranks? If you get a check in a tournament anymore, any month of the year, and you're not using forward-facing sonar, you are an outlier. You're an exception to the rule. So when you say that just because you can't see them doesn't mean you can't catch them, you're trying to undermine the impact that forward-facing sonar is having on the fisheries. And you can, just because you see them doesn't mean you can't catch them. Here's the real problem with forward-facing sonar that you don't have with other types of technology. Once you locate, a fish or a group of fish with forward-facing sonar and Livescope, you can watch and you can read and you can see the movements and the behavior of that fish based upon different presentations that you make. You may throw a swim bait out there and they may be a little interested, but they're not. Then you pick up a jerk bait, maybe they get a little bit more interested. Then you pick up an underspin. Then you pick up, whatever, different colors, different sizes, and all that type of stuff. You're still locked in on that fish that you never would have seen without technology. You wouldn't even know it's there. And you can stay on that fish until you can figure out the presentation and the technique and the color, the angle, the timing, whatever that it takes to generate that strike that would be literally impossible to do without any other technology out there. So anyway, guys, every one of these, the excuses I hear, every time I do a forward-facing sonar, I get one of these 5 out there. One of them comes up. Every one of them, there's not a bit of legitimacy to every one of these excuses out there. It's just a justification for something that is creating our own demise. And this is the thing that I don't understand about a segment of the bass fishing population. Why do you have a segment of the bass fishing population that actually cheers their own demise of the thing that they very love? When you talk about goofing on and making fun of environmental efforts and climate change mitigation efforts and trying to keep technology out of fishing that has potential harm to the fishery over the long-term sustainability, you have a segment of the population out there that digs their heels in against that. And everything, when I talk about forward-facing sonar and climate change mitigation or environmental issues or any other challenges to our fisheries, my only concern is the long-term sustainability of our fisheries. when you try to justify things like, you know, saying climate change is a hoax, or calling environmentalists some type of a nut job wacko, or, you know, saying all this stuff, trying to justify forward-facing sonar, you are literally cheering for your own demise of your sport that you love and the planet that you live on. So I just think it's time for everybody to sort of reevaluate, you know, the perception on that. I think a lot of the times people get tied into the viewpoint of their peer group, and they have an identity that is locked around certain things. And even if that identity doesn't serve themselves, and even if that identity is sort of based in denial of reality, a lot of people do not want to give up their identity, even if they know it's not true out there. So anyway, guys, don't fall for it. Don't fall for these 5 things out there. Fight the good fight. Let's keep bass fishing the way it's meant to be, traditional bass fishing, where we have long-term sustainability of our fisheries, and we have some history and tradition of the sport, and keep it where it is healing and therapeutic to be part of it. So hope you guys are well, guys. Talk later. See you.